Hi there, this is Katrina Gibson, and this is assignment 1, going over SSH keys, firewall commands, and Nmap with Linux. We're going to start with the SSH first. So to start, this is my key pair generation command. So SSH keygen. This is the ED25519 algorithm we used to create it, and used an appropriate username, kgibson. So then it asks us to create a passphrase, which I did, just doesn't show because security reasons. And then it shows where it's been saved to, and my public key has been saved in this place as well, showing us my fingerprint, and then this stuff right here. The command I used to put my public key pair onto the server was SSH copy ID, information showing everything I need to know, and it was on the .ssh folder on my computer. Here's all the information here. Number of keys added 1, use my password and everything, and that gets placed into an authorized keys file. And you can see here is my public key up here, the same one that matches here when I looked at to read the public key right here. So that is placed in the authorized keys file within the SSH folder. Down here is my attempt at just the password-based authentication and how it doesn't work. Permission denied based on the pub key, and we'll go in a bit with the config file showing how I was able to do this. Here's my key pair working using the host name, so kgibson at assign1.com. That is my host name, so I'm not using my IP address just to get into here. Here is a root login attempt and how that was denied. Again, with all these things, I will show you in the config file what I did and what part it affects. And down here, we already went around this part, but here we're going to focus on this part right here, the netstat, which shows that SSH is only listening to the internal NIC, which is my 192.168.224.20, not my public NIC, which is a 10.10.20 subnet. So this is my SSHD config file, which I had to make changes to allow all these things to happen. Well, these red square boxes are what I changed, and I'll go through top to bottom. So the listen address was the 192.168.224.20. This I had to uncomment and add my IP address. This was to make sure SSH wasn't listening on my external NIC. It was only listening to my internal one. So I had to specify my internal NIC right here. That way it ties them together and it butts out the external NIC with that. Next up is permit root login, no, which is how I stopped the root login from happening. Pub key authentication, yes, that allows us to use SSH keys to begin with. And then finally password authentication, no, that ensures only the key-based logins work, which is why that one, when I tried to log in with my IP, wouldn't allow me based on my password. The way I moved my host-only NIC onto the internal firewall zone was using this command here. So my internal NIC is the ENS192, and my bridge NIC is the ENS160, just letting you know. So this command, I use permanent for both these, which makes it boot safe. And for the internal one, I moved the zone to internal, made sure to change it. And then with the bridged, I moved it to the public zone. And so, as I said before, the permanent part here should make it boot safe. After doing that, you also reload it. But you can check, making sure by doing this command here, firewall command, get active zones, and it'll show you on my internal. This is my internal NIC here, my 192.168.224. and this is my bridge NIC as the 10.10.20 subnet. Using TCP dump on my external NIC, this is specifically on port 22 with the SSH. I caught myself trying to SSH in from a different tab up here. Here I've got connection timed out. This is my external IP. And this shows the TCP handshake never happened. I only got the S flags, the SYN as you call it, but there was never any acknowledgement back, which shows that the firewall was doing its job by blocking out that communication. Now here is the same TCP dump command, but using the internal NIC, the 192. Then that shows the SSH is working properly. You got going back and forth, the SYNAC. There's a lot of data coming through with that TCP dump compared to the external NIC, where there was really nothing there aside from trying to get in. So here I am at the Nmap part of the assignment. So I am scanning my target VM with the firewall off, first of all. So that's this one here. I'm using the TCP SYN scan. I'm targeting my lab 1 VM from my assignment 1 VM. See, I'm targeting using the external NIC of my target VM. That's its IP address right here. You see a couple of the ports open here. And then up here with the not shown, this is all the rest of them are closed. If the firewall was on, it would be saying filtered. It wouldn't tell me straight up that it was closed. It would kind of leave a little bit of mystery. See, as you see here, this is the same scan I ran again, but this time with the firewall on. And this is like very similar, except it says they are filtered instead. And except for the open SSH, that was always open, we made sure. But you don't see any more of the RPC bind or the NFS. You just see this closed port here, which is the Zeus admin. The filters means that the firewall is dropping the packet silently and is not responding to the probes. This is not really hiding it up here. This is telling you that it dropped it, but it's not doing it silently. Here is the same Nmap scan that I did on my internal NIC. This is the external NIC of my target VM, and it's the same stuff as the internal NIC showing here. So here is the firewall off and the firewall on down here. Here is my Nmap scan of the top 20 UDP ports on my target VM. This is all of them right here. This is the firewall on, so it's filtered. The packets have been silently dropped. And this is the firewall off, showing you exactly that it's closed. Again, the packets weren't dropped quietly. They were letting you know that it was closed. So not as secure. Here is my scan of the information of the target VM, like my OS type and version. See, this is its guesses. Its top guess that it was a Linux 5.4. And you see its probability down here. It doesn't have the exact OS match, but it has a rough estimate. And that was using this command right here. That was with the firewall on. And then this is the firewall off. So with the firewall off, it shows me more exactly. It doesn't have the guesses. It's showing me exactly. It says I'm running Linux 4.x and 5.x. It's showing me all these details I didn't have up here. Up here, there was no exact OS match. It was just like its guesses. Here it can tell me what Linux I am running. So this is the ping scan that shows the year 2 subnet. So this one right here. So everything in this 10.10.20 subnet. And you get a bunch of different IP addresses in that range. So yeah, there's a lot of them. You see the VMware ones that are used up as well as ones used up by like computers and stuff. So finally, it's the last part. We've got two. It's the Wireshark part. So I'm running TCP dump on my target VM, and in the Wireshark, it's going to tell me what it saw when I nmapped from my scanner VM. And this is doing it with the firewall on and firewall off. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of problem with the firewall on. It didn't like what I captured, and I just decided to make an educated guess on what would happen, what I would see, but I will show you the firewall off one. So this is how I save the TCP dump on my VM. This is on my internal NIC. I'm writing it to this pcap file here. This is my firewall off version on port 22, my TCP dump. And so what I did is I just SSH'd in from OpenXTerm and was able to grab it from the side here and put it on my desktop, and then I was able to go into Wireshark. Here it is right here, and you file and you open, and here's the firewall off. We open that, so we see it here. We see everything it sees with the firewall off, all the TCPs. So I'm guessing what happened with firewall on, it would be a lot of the SYN going there, but no acknowledgement. Same with the one part we did earlier. As opposed to here, it's just SYN and ACK, and SYNACK is my assignment one for the Linux SSH security keys and firewall and nmap. Thank you very much.